key dimension of handprint care that came out of the early work in India was around ethics, ethics-led learning. So we asked the question, how can heritage knowledge, ethics and sustainability issues be included in school curriculum settings? And here, working with Anne Edwards' work around story sharing, finding out, working out and taking action that are all part of ESD in classroom settings, we began by saying that our ethical patterns of knowing, feeling and doing can develop as cognizant dispositions and volitional agency. Now that's quite a mouthful. In other words, drawing on the Nell Nodding's work on empathy, she talked about how an ethic of care is both cognitive and emotional, that it's a cognizant disposition, and how ethics is mediated by 4 processes in teaching and learning settings towards the development of agency. And here, modeling is the first one that she mentioned, which is relevant for quadrant 1, the startup of work on ethics-led learning. And then dialogue for deliberative work begins to grow in the process, along with the practices focus, and finally a confirmation or affirmation process. So if you take all of these together and you look at them around a process of action learning, you start seeing that modeling feeds through into dialogue and practices in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3, and then also is found within the affirming actions that are part of a whole ESD process. So this gave us 3 focus areas in real-world story for ethics-led learning around heritage and issues in the classroom curriculum setting. One is an ethics deliberation type of approach. Then the heritage can be added to this, especially now with the depth of heritage ethics of land care that we're finding in Africa, and also issues. So real-world story became a starting point for curriculum-activated story sharing. And here what we asked was, how were things in the past as a way of understanding the present? And how are things today, into inquiry into how things are today and finding out more. What does this mean to us today? This is often a deliberative, or a lot of debate goes on based on the evidence of the inquiry in quadrant 2. And then finally, moving on to, well, how can we make things better together by taking action to try out new just ways and sustainable ways of being and doing things together. So it's really important to have this ethical thread, if you like, feeding through all of our ESD work in curriculum settings. And here are some of the references and materials that I used in this presentation.